guys, welcome back to another video. So we've had a lot of requests lately to respond to a particular video by a YouTuber by the name of tabs24x7Official. It's called Why I'll Never Be Vegan.
She has a huge following on YouTube.
Over 250,000 subscribers.
That's a lot of people hearing this message. So we haven't watched the video yet. We're going to watch it for the first time now and record our response. Here we go.
So right now I am only eating white meat. I don't eat any red meat. I'm trying to limit and cut everything out meat-wise.
So first off, this is what a lot of people do. They think somehow that white meat is healthier than red meat. And obviously they're not even thinking about the ethical side of things at this point, are they?
No. Dr. Esselstyn, one of the world's leading heart surgeons, once said something along the lines of the difference between red meat and white meat is whether you want to be shot or hung. Basically, both are going to kill you. And of course, as you mentioned, the ethics. You know, we have this tendency to think, oh, it's okay, it's just a chicken because, I don't know, like they're smaller maybe, they're... I don't know, people kind of think that it's okay if it's a smaller animal, and it's definitely not. Chickens are beautiful and they feel very much just like a big animal like a cow. So red meat, white meat makes no difference.
For me, this isn't true for everyone, but I know it's also true for a lot of other people. If you try to make like drastic changes in your diet, like, you know, one day change, the next day, like I'm gonna be vegetarian or I'm gonna be vegan or anything like that, it's really hard to do.
That all depends on whether you've had the appropriate education or not. Once you've been educated as to what goes on in these very cruel and violent animal agriculture industry.
And we're talking meat, dairy and eggs.
Exactly.
All three.
You know, you don't want any part of that anymore. Any compassionate person would, you know, look into their heart and says, oh, I don't want to pay for that. That's terrible.
Yeah, and I think also when we replace the victim and look at this situation, it becomes a completely different mindset. So no one would say, I'm going to gradually stop molesting children.
Or I'm going to gradually stop beating my wife.
Violence is violence, as we always say. To the victim, they just want it to stop. Now, the other thing is, everything is a choice. And we choose to make things as easy or as difficult. A lot of people go vegan or vegetarian overnight, no problem. So the other thing is it can actually be more difficult for a lot of people to take those transitional steps because you've still got animal foods in your taste buds, in your body, you've got those products in your house. So sometimes it can be a lot easier just to get them all out and just do it. Otherwise, it's still there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's no longer a personal choice when it involves someone else's life. For example, your right to throw your fist ends at my nose. And of course, the education extends further than just the ethical side, which is the most important side, but it also extends to our health and the environmental consequences of eating meat, dairy, and eggs.
So right now I'm only eating basically birds and fish. I also feel like personally those are animals that I could kill. I also know I wouldn't be able to kill a pig or, you know, a sheep or a cow.
Okay.
So this is exactly what I just mentioned a moment ago, that the smaller animals really do cop it because we think that we can dominate them more. And I guarantee that you probably wouldn't be able to kill a fish or a chicken.
It's all very well to say that sitting there in front
when
of your
you have to
computer,
look at
removed
that
from the
animal,
situation, but when you put in that situation, you know,
it's awful. You don't want to do that. And you're not killing the animal, that's the thing. You're not catching that food, you're paying for someone else to do it, and it's happening in horrific conditions.
And I think there's a misconception out there that fish, for example, don't feel pain, when in fact, you know, they have central nervous systems and pain receptors, and out of biological necessity, they can feel pain.
Yeah, they're suffocating to death when we pull them out of the ocean, so that's not something you can do lightheartedly.
Living on the farm, because, you know, we have chickens, we don't have a cow anymore, but I mean, we used to have a cow, you know, we have goats, we have pigs, we have all kinds of animals on our farm. So I really got to interact and know these animals a lot better. And I'm so blessed for that because it's eye-opening, it's wonderful. Personally, for me, it's a lot harder to eat those animals when you are surrounded by them, when you get to know them and you realize that it's not just, you know, something that you eat. That's another living thing And I think one of the biggest problems with humans, we forget that we're all equal. We are not higher than any other animal or life form on this planet.
So this is kind of contradictory.
This is a bit weird.
She's made the connection that that animals are living, breathing, sentient beings for some animals, but not for others. That's kind of how.
That's weird. But she mentions all the animals on the farm. They're all the animals that people usually eat. So she has made this connection.
And she did mention owning chickens or having chickens on the farm.
I don't understand. I think it's great because she's showing a compassionate side, and she has been around animals, and she said, you've loved them as your family, and that's completely right. So there's no difference to those animals on the farm and the animals in the factory farms. Yeah, they're completely the same. It's just like we're humans here in our living room, and you're a human on the other side of the world in your living room, but we all think and feel the same way. Well, that's exactly the same for animals.
And I was thinking, we also, why are we discriminating between species? Why are we loving one but eating the other? The chickens and the fish, they have, lives that are as important to them as our lives are to us. They have families, relationships.
They value their life just as much as the cow and the pig and the sheep and the goat and every animal on the planet. So it's a bit confusing here.
I absolutely adore cheese and eggs. Those are two things that are big in my diet. I want to have a home where I have some land, where I'm able to have some free-range chickens, where I'm able to have a garden, and I want to have a dairy goat. So I can make my own cheese, have milk that way.
Okay.
So I think, education is lacking here, clearly. Regarding eggs, we just made a video on that. We're going to link that here. At the end of the day, it's a hen's menstruation,
Yeah, it's a period.
It's a period,
It causes so much disease in our body. It's full of cholesterol. Cholesterol is linked to our #1 killer, which is heart disease. It doesn't matter if that egg comes from your backyard or comes from a factory farm. It is full of animal fat and protein and cholesterol that is killing us. There is no need for it. No.
And they belong to the hen anyway.
Yes.
Again, taking them is a form of expression that, you believe somehow a human is superior to the other animals. And you just said before that you believe that, all species are equal. Yeah. So it's contradictory.
It is. In terms of dairy, no. All the milk we needed came from our mother's breast milk when we were babies, and when we grew up, we no longer needed to drink milk, especially the milk from another species. One of the most important things is to understand how dangerous dairy is. It's full of hormones, naturally occurring hormones. Not the ones that are pumped into the animal in a factory farm. Again, this doesn't matter if the animal, if the goat or the cow, whatever, is in your backyard or a factory farm. They naturally produce up to like 60 or over 60 naturally occurring hormones. You do not want to put that into your body because it makes everything grow really big, really fast, including cancer cells.
Yeah, it's baby growth formula food for the goat or the cow.
Yeah, here's the good news. There is plenty of dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, cream, everything you could want in a vegan version. Plant-based dairy products are readily available very easily from your store.
And if you don't like the first variety or brand that you try another one because they vary in quality. And
so you don't have to miss out on anything.
Exactly.
And there's actually a vegan egg now. They've created a vegan egg.
And again, just to say, I want to have my own milk. Again, it's not your own milk. Your own milk is that produced by your breasts. The milk of the goat is produced solely for its baby, its offspring.
And the first form of violence is the idea of ownership. Backyard, factory farm, doesn't matter. Those animals' lives and their bodies and their products belong to them, not to us. End of story.
Particularly if we're supposedly all equal as species.
If it's from an animal that is not being mistreated, that is treated as an equal, it is part of your family, it is loved, then I personally don't see anything wrong with it.
So in that case, why don't we just milk cats and dogs? Because they're the usual family pet, right? I mean, most people don't have chickens and goats.
And while we're at it, if we're going to be taking the milk from our own family members, well, why don't we start with our own species, our aunts, our mothers, our sisters,
Yeah, the next time someone in your family is pregnant, you should give them a container and say, please, squeeze your breast milk into it because I'd like to use it in my cooking tonight and I'd like to use it on my cereal tomorrow. If that sounds totally weird and bizarre and sick, well, we need to start thinking about why is it do we not drink milk from our own species as adults, but we're okay with drinking the milk of another species as adults.
And we're the only species on the face of the planet that chooses to do that. And it's because we've been conditioned to do that. No other reason.
No.
I will be able to produce my own food for myself, food that I know is healthy, that is chemical free, that the animal products I'm taking in will be happy animals that are loved and taken care of and that are a part of my family.
So let's be really clear here. The consumption of any animal products at all, no matter where they came from, means it is not healthy, because 14 out of the 15 leading causes of death
have been scientifically linked to eating animal products. And it doesn't matter whether those animals are part of the family or whether they come out of the factory farms where 98% of the meat, dairy and eggs that we consume are produced. They still contain cholesterol and saturated fat and protein from the animals, and also naturally occurring hormones, as you said, all of which are not healthful to our bodies.
No, they're completely not necessary. Again, this idea of ownership, they're not our products, they're not our animals. Hands off.
And I have to say, you know, what really struck me here is a lot of I want, I want. It was a very sort of egocentric, selfish diet, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it's all about education, right? So let's be fair. If someone doesn't have the education, then they're not aware of these concepts. The idea of speciesism is very, very central to how we see our relationship with other animals on this planet. We're going to recommend a movie called Speciesism, the movie. We'll put the link down below. Fascinating stuff. Please watch this. Please watch all the documentaries that we're linking down below. It's all about education. Once you realize how, I mean, these things, these products, they're not food. That's what we need to get our heads around. They are not food. They are violence, number one. They are also disease. It's not what we need to put into our bodies. So we've got to change the mindset of how we view milk, dairy, eggs, cheese, all of those products.
And I was just thinking, many people watching will be thinking, but the way she's describing raising the animals in a loving, you know, family environment, how is that violent? Back to what you said before, ownership is the first form of violence. The moment that we think as a human species that we're somehow superior, that we can own another living being, that's the first, you know, violent action that takes place.
Because think about it, you know, not too long ago, a couple of 100 years ago, white people were owning black people as slaves. And you know what? Their mentality was the same as this. I treat my black people really well. I treat my slaves really well. They're part of my family. I give them a house, you know, just off the land a little bit there, and they're fed, and we take care of them, and they work for us. It's a nice exchange, and everything's all fine.
As soon as you put yourself in the victim's shoes, be it the black slave in that scenario or the animals today, it's exactly the same. No one wants to be owned. No living being wants to be owned. They want to be allowed to live their natural life without any human interference whatsoever.
Yeah. So this is our response to the video, Why I'll Never Be Vegan. I hope this young woman gets the education, watches the videos we're suggesting, and hears this message and reconsiders, because she's reaching a very big audience on YouTube and is very influential. So we want her to learn more and
Hashtag
Go
vegan.
vegan.
Go vegan. Exactly. Thanks for watching, guys. We'd love to hear from you now. Write down in the comments below about this interesting video and topic. Like, share and subscribe. And remember, until next time, going vegan is not the most we can do.
it's the absolute least we can do. See you next video.
Bye, guys.
So we went and checked out what Alicia is actually eating, and the first thing we notice is she has a lot of coffee. She loves Starbucks, and this is generally a sign that someone's eating a very low carbohydrate diet because they're getting their energy from caffeine instead of carb calories.